Let me ask you something most men never stop to question. Why do we assume that money, good looks, or smooth talk are the keys to attracting women? It's what we've been told, right? Show her you've got status. Flash the charm. Impress her with things. But here's the truth, most men are playing the wrong game. Because real attraction doesn't start on the surface. It starts in the mind. See, just like men, women carry unconscious emotional patterns, hidden psychological triggers that they don't even realize themselves. These triggers shape who they chase, who they trust, and who they can't forget. Now, here's the twist, most men go through life completely blind to these dynamics. They keep trying harder, spending more, texting more, over-explaining, while never realizing that what truly pulls a woman in, isn't what you do. It's what you understand. In this video, we're diving into something most people never talk about. The 10 hidden female psychological weaknesses that, once understood, will flip the script on how you relate to women, forever. This isn't about tricks or manipulation. It's about clarity, self-mastery, and learning how to stand as the kind of man who doesn't just attract, but captivates. If you're tired of second-guessing, chasing, or wondering what went wrong, get ready. Because once you see the deeper game, you'll never play by the old rules again. Part 1, Emotional Certainty. Here's something most men completely overlook. Women aren't just looking for love, they're looking for emotional safety. Not safety in the physical sense, though that matters too. I'm talking about emotional certainty, the feeling that when things get chaotic, you don't. Think about it. A woman can handle her own emotions. But what she can't stand is a man who crumbles under pressure. If she has to play therapist, babysitter, or your emotional support system, you're no longer the man. She is. And that switch. That's the moment attraction begins to die. You see, women are wired to seek stability in a storm. It's not about being emotionless, it's about being emotionally anchored. When she's spiraling, can you stay calm? When things go wrong, do you freak out, or do you lean in with grounded focus? A man who's emotionally steady becomes her safe haven. Not by talking about strength, but by embodying it. This is where Stoic confidence comes in. It's not about being cold. It's about being composed. When she throws a test, or the world throws a curveball, you don't flinch. That's the guy she respects. That's the guy she stays up thinking about. So next time you're tempted to vent, to complain, to lose your cool, pause. Breathe. Hold the line. Because the man who can regulate himself will always attract the woman who's tired of regulating everyone else. Part 2, Scarcity and Mystery. Here's a hard truth most men learn the painful way. The more available you are, the less she values you. It's not because women are cruel or play games. It's because human psychology is wired this way, we crave what's rare. Diamonds, limited edition sneakers, VIP access, why are they desirable? Because you can't get them everywhere. Women operate on this same principle, especially when it comes to men. When you're always texting back instantly, always eager to please, always available on demand, you become predictable. Easy. Forgettable. But when you live a life that doesn't revolve around her, when you're slightly out of reach, something powerful happens. She starts wondering. Where is he? Why hasn't he replied yet? What is he doing that's more important than me? And that curiosity, that mystery, it's fuel for attraction. You see, women chase what they can't fully possess. Not because they want to suffer, because they want to discover. And discovery requires space. So what's the strategy? Don't always be available. Text back when you're free, not when you're desperate. Reveal yourself slowly, layer by layer. Let her earn access to the deeper parts of you. Because the moment she feels like she has all of you, she stops chasing. But if you stay just a little out of reach, she'll never stop trying to close the gap. Scarcity isn't about playing games. It's about protecting your value. Part 3, Deep Voice and Powerful Presence. There's a trigger for attraction most men completely overlook. Your voice, and your presence. Not your six-pack. Not your bank account. But the energy you bring into a room before you even say a word. Let's start with your voice. Science backs this up. Men with deeper, calmer voices are perceived as more dominant, more confident, and more trustworthy. Why? Because a deep voice subconsciously signals high testosterone and strong leadership. It tells her, this man is grounded. In control. Capable. But don't stop at your voice, because presence is even more powerful. Presence is silent authority. It's how you move. How you hold yourself. How you make others feel when you simply exist in the room. The man with strong presence. He walks with purpose, never rushed, never frantic. He makes eye contact, but never stares nervously. He speaks slowly, because he knows every word matters. On the other hand, the man who fidgets, slouches, avoids eye contact, or speaks too fast. He's telling the world, and her, that he doubts himself. And women? They pick up on that in seconds. They don't consciously think he's weak. But their body, their instincts, feel it. So if you want to command attraction without trying, master your voice. Master your presence. Because when you enter a room with quiet strength and say just a few calm, deliberate words, you don't need to chase attention. It comes to you. Part 4, The Power of Walking Away. If there's one move that flips the script completely, it's this. Be willing to walk away. Nothing shakes a woman's emotions more than the quiet realization that you don't need her. Most guys do the opposite. She pulls away. They chase. She gets cold. They explain. She disrespects them. They plead. But here's the truth. The moment she senses that you need her more than she needs you, the attraction starts to die. Because deep down, women are drawn to men who hold power, especially emotional power. And nothing displays emotional power more than this simple mindset. If you cross the line, I'll walk. No begging. No drama. No fear. It's not about being cold. It's not about being heartless. It's about self-respect. Because the man who can walk away isn't saying, I don't care about you. He's saying, I care about me more than your approval. And you know what happens when a woman feels that? Respect. Curiosity. Desire. She begins to realize, you're not replaceable. Not because you're perfect. But because you have standards. Boundaries. Backbone. So ask yourself. Would you rather be the man who chases approval? Or the one she can't control? When you're truly willing to walk away. You rarely have to. Because women don't chase neediness. They chase strength. And nothing is more powerful than a man who knows when to stay. And when to go. Part 5, A Man with a Mission. Let me tell you a secret that most men never figure out. The most irresistible man, is the one who doesn't make her his purpose. You see, women aren't drawn to men who orbit around them. They're drawn to men who are moving forward, with or without them. Purpose is magnetic. When a man is chasing something bigger, building a business, mastering a craft, pushing toward a goal, he naturally radiates focus, discipline, and direction. And those qualities? They don't just attract women, they captivate them. The tragic mistake most men make. They put her on a pedestal. They cancel plans. They pause dreams. They make her the mission. And at first, it might feel romantic. But over time, it drains the polarity. Because no woman wants to be the center of your world. She wants to be part of a world that's already in motion. So here's the truth. A man without purpose feels empty. And eventually, she'll feel it too. But a man who wakes up with fire in his gut, who has something he's building, something he's becoming. He doesn't wait for her to call. He doesn't obsess over when she'll text back. He's too busy creating something meaningful. That's the man she respects. That's the man she supports. That's the man she doesn't want to lose. So I'll ask you this. What are you building? Because if your life has no mission, don't be surprised when she loses interest. Part 6, Controlled Vulnerability. Here's where most men get it wrong. They think being emotionally open means spilling everything, anytime, to prove they're in touch with their feelings. But let me be clear. Vulnerability is only attractive when it's controlled. Yes, women want a man who can feel. But they don't want a man who crumbles. Who vents constantly. Who turns them into his emotional crutch. That's not connection. That's emotional dumping, and it quietly kills attraction. So what's the move? Be open, but from a place of strength. You share the struggle only after you've overcome it. You talk about what challenged you, not to seek pity, but to reveal depth. Controlled vulnerability says, I've faced storms, and I'm still standing. That's the man she can trust. That's the man she can lean on. Because here's the paradox. If you show too much too soon, it feels weak. If you show nothing at all, you feel distant. But when you choose your moments, when you open up with intention, not impulse, you create intimacy without losing respect. She doesn't want to hear you complain. She wants to see how you carry the weight. And when you finally open that door just enough for her to step in, she feels chosen, not burdened. So remember. Your emotions are like deep waters. Let her see the depth. But never let her feel like she has to swim for you. True masculinity isn't emotionless. It's the power to hold emotion, without losing your edge. Part 7, Emotional Strength Gets Tested. Here's something no one tells you, but every man needs to hear. If she's testing you, it's not a bad sign. In fact, it means you're doing something right. Because whether she knows it or not, every woman instinctively tests a man's emotional strength. Not to manipulate. Not to be cruel. But to answer one silent question. Can I trust you to lead when things get tough? And these tests don't come in a neat little box. They come disguised as moments that catch you off guard. She challenges your opinion, just to see if you'll fold. She creates a little tension, to see if you'll stay calm. She pulls away slightly, to see if you'll chase. Most men fail right here. They get defensive. Overreact. Beg for reassurance. But the high-value man? He sees the test, and doesn't flinch. He doesn't argue to win. He doesn't chase when she retreats. He stands firm, not to dominate, but because he knows who he is. That calm confidence. That's what makes her feel safe. You see, strength isn't shown when things are easy. It's shown in the friction, the discomfort, the tension. Especially with her. So next time she pulls back, leans in with sarcasm, or pushes your buttons. Don't react. Don't explain yourself. Don't chase. Just smile. Stay grounded. Let her feel your energy isn't shaken by her storms. Because when you pass the test, you're no longer just another man in her life. You become the man she can't replace. Part 8, Confidence in the Face of Rejection. Let's clear something up. Rejection isn't what breaks men. What breaks them, is their need for approval. You see, women aren't drawn to the guy who always gets the girl. They're drawn to the guy who could get rejected, and doesn't flinch. When a man hears no and just shrugs, smiles, maybe even laughs a little, it sends a powerful message. I know my value. I'm not defined by your yes or your no. And that's magnetic. Because most men crumble at the first sign of disapproval. They take it personally. They spiral. They let one woman's response rewrite their entire sense of worth. But the confident man, he doesn't see rejection as failure. He sees it as feedback. Sometimes it's timing. Sometimes it's chemistry. And sometimes it's just a gift, one that clears space for something better. So what should you do? If she turns you down, don't sulk. Don't chase. Don't ask why. Just smile. Say, no worries, have a great day. And mean it. Because when you handle rejection like it's no big deal, you instantly separate yourself from 99% of men. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop fearing rejection, you become the kind of man who rarely experiences it. Why? Because confidence is contagious. And when you don't need anyone's validation, people start leaning in to give it to you. Part 9, Mystery keeps her interested. Let me give you one of the most underrated truths about attraction. Curiosity fuels desire. And when the curiosity dies, so does the chase. Here's the deal. If she always knows what you're thinking. If you're always texting back in 5 seconds. If you lay your feelings out before she's even earned your trust. You're giving her the entire story before she's even turned the page. And guess what? When she stops wondering, she stops chasing. Now this doesn't mean you play games or act cold. It means you preserve a layer of mystery, just enough to keep her intrigued. You don't need to overshare. You don't need to explain your every emotion. And you definitely don't need to seek constant reassurance or approval. Instead, you respond when it feels right, not instantly. You reveal parts of your life gradually, not all at once. You stay open, but not exposed. Because here's what women truly crave. A man who makes them feel. But also keeps them guessing just enough to think. They want emotional connection, but they also want the thrill of discovery. And discovery doesn't happen when everything's already on the table. So stay a little unpredictable. Let her lean in. Let her ask questions. Let her earn the deeper layers of you. Because the man who gives her everything too soon, he becomes just another story. But the man who reveals himself slowly, he becomes the one she can't stop thinking about. Part 10, Control your desires, control the game. Here's the ultimate test of a man's power. Can you control your desires, or do your desires control you? Most men let lust lead them. They chase. They over-pursue. They make decisions from impulse, not intention. But here's what most don't realize. Women are naturally drawn to the man who can say no. Not because he's playing hard to get. But because he's in control. He doesn't chase every woman. He chooses. He has standards. He doesn't compromise his time, his values, or his mission just to satisfy a craving. And that self-restraint, it radiates strength. Because in a world full of men who are desperate for attention, the man who isn't, he stands out. Women can sense it instantly. A man who's grounded. Who doesn't need validation. Who isn't looking to be saved or satisfied, because he's already fulfilled from within. And here's the twist. When you stop chasing women, they start chasing you. Why? Because you become rare. You become respected. You become the man who's hard to access, because you're not available to just anyone. So next time desire rises, ask yourself. Are you leading it, or is it leading you? Because the man who masters his impulses masters everything. And once you become that man, you won't have to search for high-quality women. They'll be searching for you. So let's bring it all together. Everything we've covered. From emotional control, to purpose, to mystery. It all points to one deeper truth. Attraction isn't a trick. It's a reflection of who you are. You don't need to memorize pickup lines. You don't need to pretend to be someone you're not. What you need is understanding. Understand how women are wired, emotionally, psychologically. And more importantly, understand yourself. Because the man who knows himself, who leads with purpose, who sets boundaries, who respects his time and controls his desires, he becomes rare, valuable, unshakable. And that kind of man, he doesn't chase women. He attracts them. Not just because of what he says or does, but because of the energy he carries. The presence he brings. The silence he can hold without fear. So if you're tired of guessing, chasing, compromising, let this be your shift. Start becoming the man who doesn't need approval, because he walks with self-respect. The man who doesn't seek love, because he's building a life worth sharing. Women won't just want you. They'll need you. If this message hit home, don't just watch and scroll. Subscribe to Stoic Banlance for more grounded wisdom on mastering your mind, your mission, and your relationships. Because this journey isn't about impressing the world. It's about leading yourself. And letting the right people be drawn to your strength. Until next time. Stay focused. Stay grounded. And never chase.